Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome. I ain't even gonna ask you to subscribe at this point. Just watch the video and you can decide on your own if I'm worth subscribing to. What I will ask you to do though is like this video, please. It costs you absolutely nothing and it means everything to me. So just click that button down there. So it's been a little minute since I've posted a video on here. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have known what I've been doing for the past 5-ish months. Shameless plug. Check out my new website, raisinstandards.com. All kinds of budgeting tips, tricks, and tools for you to utilize. So I filmed this video like 8-ish, maybe 9 months ago last year. This was the one video that was not affected by me being robbed in Spain. At the time, I didn't really have lighting and all that, so bear with me, not the best quality. And I'm also gonna be popping in here and there throughout the video to explain certain things because I feel like some of the steps that I took in that video could have been simpler. Long story short, I went to the thrift store, got this really good quality mirror, super cheap. I'll insert clips of all of it. The frame that it came in was like a very heavy wooden frame. It was good quality, but didn't really go with the vibe that I wanted in here. I wanted a frame that was more light, unique, and artistic, but I didn't want to spend that much money for it. So I was inspired by these type of art pieces here. I've seen this type of art a lot, the line work with the string, and I think it looks really cool. So I thought about it, why not take that art piece and make it the frame? So that's what you're gonna see here. I'm gonna start from the beginning when I bought the mirror all the way until what you see here now. I just got back from the thrift store, but I wanted to show this off before I left. I'm still in the process of moving. This mirror, $14.99. It is huge. This is it next to my foot so that you can have comparison. It was super heavy though. I think what's making it heavy is the wooden frame, not the mirror. So hopefully when I take it out the frame, I'll be able to hang it with no problems. I didn't film hanging up the mirror. All I did was flip it over. Just to be safe, I went with the 16-pound command strips and I used 6 of them. So this mirror is not going anywhere. Honestly, 6 might have been overkill, but you know, I'd rather be safe than sorry. I don't want the mirror crashing down one day. So I went with 6. So all you're gonna need to achieve this is some string. I went with gold string just because it went with the vibe in my living room here. You're gonna need a ruler or measuring tape, either or. Gold push pins. You could use office push pins, but I went with the very small head push pins. I'll include a link to all of this in the description box below. Scissors, nail clippers, utility knife, just something so you can cut your string. You're gonna need a straight edge. I used an old cardboard box that I had. You're going to need to mark this up. You're gonna need a pen and double-sided tape, which you'll see me use at the very end of the video, and some type of like oven mitt or like thumb cushion or something, because I remember that next day my thumb was so sore and so stiff. So the engineer in me had to do a little bit of math before I got started. So my mirror was 30 inches by 28 inches, and I wanted to have a 3-inch thick frame. So my mirror, or my frame, was gonna be 42 inches by 34 inches. I also had about 200 of the little gold push pins. I spaced them out 2 inches apart. You don't have to do that step. You really can just eyeball it and kind of push the pins all around. But I really wanted my frame to be perfectly irregular, if that makes sense. I wanted to have a perfect crisp edge, and then everything on the inside could be abstract and all over the place. So to get that spacing amount, all you have to do is take the perimeter of your desired frame size. Again, I went with 42 by 34, but you could have made your frame bigger, smaller, doesn't matter. So outer frame perimeter plus the perimeter of the mirror itself divided by the number of pins. I rounded up to 2, just clean, even, whole number. This is 328 feet. Just gonna hope it's enough. I'm going to make marks on this so that it's easier to just stick the push pins in. So what you'll see me doing here is marking up every 2-inch space on the edge of that box. Honestly, the step's not really necessary. You can just hold your measuring tape or ruler up against the wall and then just push the pins in every 2 inches. I think the reason why I went with the box is because at the time I thought it was going to help me line the pins up nice and straight. And you'll see later in the video that I ended up finding a better method to straighten out the pins because that method wasn't working. So next I'm measuring 3 inches across and 3 inches down from each corner of the mirror. And then I'm making a little mark with my utility knife. You don't really have to do that step, just stick a pin in those areas. But the reason why I'm doing that is because after I take those 2 measurements, that'll help me get the corner of the frame nice and accurate. hard to get in the wall. So you can't apply too much pressure because then the nail will bend. You gotta just kind of wiggle it around till it gets in there. I feel like it's sloping down. Oh my gosh. I have an idea. I'm gonna use this string as my ruler. Should have done this. I'm glad I caught this early on because this was gonna look crazy if I didn't catch this earlier. That works. Okay, time for the other side. 34 inches. I have these two sides done. I'm going to complete these two sides. So now that I have the outer edge lined with push pins, I'm now gonna line the inner edge. For the inner edge, I'm not really gonna have too much of a rhythm, too much of a system here. I'm getting it as close to the mirror edge as I can. So now it's the fun part. So I'm just tying a knot, or a couple of knots, just to make sure that this doesn't get undone. Because if this comes undone, then you're screwed, you're gonna look dumb when your whole frame comes apart. And then I'm actually gonna push this one kind of in all the way, just to make sure. I think I'm gonna go around the whole thing one time, just to kind of give it like an edge. What did I do? You know what? That's the mistake I made. Every time I'm about to turn a corner, I'm gonna wrap it around that pin a couple of times. Wrapped it around the pin maybe once or twice, and then I pushed in the pin so that it doesn't go anywhere. And I'm gonna do the same for this one. So I'm gonna go 1, 2, nothing crazy, and then push the pin in. So another tip when putting the pins in is you want to leave a little bit of a gap between the head of the pin and the wall. But when you're wrapping the string around, you want to make sure that you're pushing the pin in, because if you don't, the string will start to unravel, which is what you're seeing here. Often. I'm also making it a point to wrap the string around once or twice. You actually don't want to wrap it around one pin too many times because then it gets too full, and when you try to push the pin in, it won't go all the way. I don't know, I'm just trying to go in a random abstract order here. So you'll see here it's looking a little crazy. I was just trying to make my zigzags not so perfect because I noticed that they were becoming very symmetrical zigzags. So that's why you'll see me kind of reaching to like random far ends, but bear with me, keep watching, it gets better. I think the method that I went with is I started off reaching far and then I kind of went with like short, sporadic zigzags. Look, man, I was trying to make it abstract, okay? Okay. When I wrap the string around a little too tight, the pin might pull out a little bit, or the pin might lean to one side and mess you up. I'm gonna reiterate this again. Make sure you're pushing in the pins as you're wrapping it around. Make sure these pins aren't moving. I think it's starting to look cool. I have more string. It's over there, all tangled up. I'm just gonna kind of hide this behind the mirror because it's ugly. That should do it. No one's paying attention to that knot anyway. So I have double-sided tape here. First I wrapped the double-sided tape around itself on the string because whenever I cut the string, it starts to fray at the ends and I don't want that to, you know, over time start to travel up along the frame. Now I'm thinking, because my mirror has been put up with command strips, there's like a slight little gap behind the mirror where I can tuck the string behind. So I'm thinking I'm gonna put another piece of double-sided tape. There's a string in the middle, 2 pieces of double-sided tape, stuck it to either side of the string. Then I took 2 bigger pieces of double-sided tape and stuck it to that. And then I did a 3rd layer, took it, folded it up, so at least now it's thick enough to kind of fill in that gap behind the mirror and the wall, and then I shoved it in the gap. Because both sides are sticky, then it'll kind of stick to the back of the mirror and the side of the wall, and you know, it's not going anywhere. Okay, so I'll give you a close-up. All right, y'all, I hope you enjoyed. Have you subscribed yet? Come here. You had the whole video. What's going on? Are you good? You had the whole video to subscribe. What are you doing?